What's up YouTube, this is Shuttleboy and I'm back with yet another video. Today's video we're going to be going back into my sneaker archives here of my collection and reviewing sneakers I haven't really made a proper review on. Doing a quick on feet as well on top of it. And today's sneaker we're going to be doing a Jordan Retro that I actually really like. It's one that I've owned multiple pairs in the past and just kind of a weird sneaker for me and the relationship I have with that. And that's going to be the Jordan 6 Black Infrared. So let's get right into it, guys. Alright, so Jordan 6 Infrared, or Black Infrared should I say, because there is the White Infrared as well. The White Infrared, I remember a lot of kids growing up owning those, but not so much with the Black Infrared, which is kind of shocking, I feel like, because the Black Infrareds come out, I believe, a lot more than the White Infrared. It's pretty close, it's pretty similar as far as how many times. I think Black has only maybe come out one more time, maybe two. But yeah, still an interesting thing to know. This is not my only pair of Jordan 6s I ever owned. I actually owned the Jordan 6 Carmine as well. A while back I got it at a sneaker convention for a pretty good price, really close to retail I believe, and I really liked them. I do really like that colorway, and I hear it's supposed to be coming out either later this year or early next year I believe, and I'm really excited for it. But as you can see in the background, there are no Jordan 6 Carmines back there. And that being why is because I ended up selling them. And for a couple of reasons. I don't remember what shoe I ended up getting, but I went to a sneaker convention and ended up selling them. Funny enough, that's how I got the sneaker, and then I ended up selling them that way. But I remember when I sold them at the sneaker convention, but I cannot remember exactly what shoes I ended up getting as a result of that. But I ended up using that money to get a different pair of sneakers. And honestly, looking back at it like a year after when that happened, I kind of regretted it. But then looking back at it now, I don't really regret it so much because for two reasons, honestly. One being that there's going to be a new retro of it coming out, and that's going to be better than the last pair that came out. The Jordan 6 Carmines, when they came out most recently, the quality just wasn't really there. And the other reason why, and I believe I've said this in another video before, is the Jordan 6 fits kind of weird, to be honest with you. I just feel like it fits really big considering, like, if you just put it up next to the Jordan 5 or the Jordan 7, or just like shoes around that same time period in the Jordan line, or any of the Jordan retros, these just fit a lot bigger than any other pair I've ever owned. This pair right here, I have in an 11, and I usually get an 11.5 or 12 usually in my sneakers. So that shows a lot as far as how these do fit big. There's just a lot of room on the top of your foot. So I was able to get this really close to my toe without feeling like really squished in the shoe, because there's just so much volume and room and space above your foot. Just having a tighter fit is always really nice, especially when you got a shoe that has a lot of dead space above your foot. The good thing about that too is that you can lace the shoe pretty loose then, and it won't fall off your foot and you won't be uncomfortable with that as well. And another thing that kind of helps with that is just the tongue itself. It has that booty material, that neoprene material that actually makes a pretty tight fit. It's very elasticy, so it can be pulled back so you can put your foot in pretty easily, and then it sticks really close to your foot then afterwards. So that all being said, I ended up getting a 12, I believe, in the Jordan 6 Carmine, while like I said, this is an 11, so I actually really needed a full size down. So that was a big reason why I never really wore them. I never really thought that I necessarily got the wrong size. I just thought the shoe fit really weird. But the shoe just felt super clunky to me, and I just never really felt like wearing them ever because it just wasn't natural to my foot. If a sneaker is not comfortable, if it feels clunky, if it feels like dead weight, I'm not gonna wear it. Because comfort at the end of the day is the most important thing. Now, I'm not gonna say that, oh, my sneakers are super comfortable, but they have to be at least practical to wear. A clunky shoe can be very annoying to wear. You're constantly thinking about it every time you step, just how it's not natural to your foot, and that's what I hate the most. So fast forward to a couple years after that, and they did end up announcing that they're going to re-retro the Black Infrared. And to be honest, I think the Black Infrared might be my favorite colorway of the sneaker, just because it's very subtle, it's a Bulls colorway, and it just goes with a lot of things too. I just really like this colorway a lot, and one thing that's really interesting about this sneaker is the constant just to and fro with people talking about how the red on the shoe should look like. I've never really seen anything like it with any other sneaker, but this is just kind of a shoe that's known for always having issues with people having the right color on this. Like, everyone can never be in total agreement with what the shade of the red is. This is known as the black infrared sneaker, but there's also been a version that was more varsity red. Then the last retro that happened before this one was like a pink, basically. I believe it was called Infrared 23, and that was more like a pink, and I didn't really like that too much. This one I feel like is really honestly a perfect blend of everything that's come out in the past. And I'm really happy with how the red is. I would say maybe just a little bit darker would be kind of nice, but I still am really happy with it nonetheless. I do think this is as good as they pretty much could do at this time period. But it's really hard to capture on the camera. I think some people aren't going to be able to see it. It's going to look a little bit more pink, but I'm going to try and get that for you guys, at least in some B-roll shots. But it's just like a lighter red. It has a little bit of a brightness to it, to say the least. Like, if you see with my shirt, it's not really bright, it's just red. Well, the shoe has just a little bit of something to it to give it a little bit of a pop to the red, I guess is the best way of saying it. And I really like that because it just makes it stand out more. Obviously, it is a black sneaker, so it just needs a little bit something to make it stand out a little bit more. But all in all, guys, I do really love this shoe. Just to get a little bit more into this sneaker as a whole, the Jordan 6 is just a really cool shoe. It just has a lot of really cool little details, like the 3M on the panels and the perforations. The bottom of the shoe is just really cool with the icy bottom and the big Jordan logo, and the zigzags, which end up being something that's more of a known feature of the Jordan 7. I really like the tongue. The tongue is something that's always really cool, and the back of the shoe, but the tongue I always loved because it has that two-pronged part at the top. The rubber tongue is super cool looking, and then it has that cover for the laces that has the Jordan logo, which is awesome, and of course a lace lock, which is just an awesome feature on sneakers in general. I love shoes with a lace lock, like the Jordan 5 is another awesome one. And this is the shoe that, if you have the lace lock, if you have a Jordan 6, put it at the bottom. That is the only viable option, I feel like, at least. It's just the coolest way to wear it, and I just love it. It just is such a subtle look that gives a little bit more to the shoe. One thing I do gotta say about the Jordan 6 is, growing up, I just was never that much of a fan of it, but just as time has passed, I've come to love it a lot more. I just really thought when I was younger that it looked too much like the 7. I thought the 7 was just cooler, all in all, than the 6. The 6 just, at face value, it just looks pretty bland and boring with nothing going on with it. But if you really get into sneakers more and you look at the details of shoes more, I think that's where the Jordan 6 really shines, because it just has a lot more little subtle details to it that just make it a really cool shoe. And to be honest, now I do like the Jordan 6 a lot more than the 7, at least at this time. But hey, I don't own a pair of 7s, so who am I to say such a thing? Lastly, I do want to say, I wouldn't say that this is like the most end-all be-all Jordan retro, but it just kind of has its own flair to it. The shape of it just really fits the 90s time period, while the other ones preceding it, they have their own flair as well. And I think pretty much all the Jordans 1 through 5 are pretty much better than this one, to be honest with you guys. I think the 5s are just so much crazier. The 4s have a huge fan base as well as the 3s and the 1s. The 2s I wouldn't say are necessarily better than this. But this one definitely is up there. I think all Jordans from like 6 down are all pretty much the best ones, honestly. And then there's ones that have huge cult classics, like the Jordan 10 for me is one that I just really love a ton. It's up there on me, but I think universally we can say that from 6 down pretty much is where most people really like their Jordan retros, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I didn't understand it when I was younger, but as I have grown up, I've come to really love this sneaker a lot more. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say I wear it a ton, but it's definitely one that I always come back to. and end up saying, hey, this does end up looking a lot better with a lot of outfits. It just is a lot more wearable than it really appears to be. It doesn't seem like it is, but it actually is pretty wearable. So that's pretty much gonna conclude the video, guys. Let me know down below what you think of the Jordan 6 Black Infrared, or just Jordan 6s in general. Is it one of your favorites? Is it a forgettable one? I think everybody has a very interesting opinion on this sneaker. A lot of people, I remember, like I said, when I was younger, just really didn't care about the Jordan 6. But as I've gotten older, I've seen a lot of people that really like the Jordan 6. So it definitely varies in taste for a lot of people. But I'm curious to hear any opinions if you have them down below. Also, please hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, guys. And please subscribe if you haven't already for more golf wine, more sneakers, more clothing, more Shuttleboy. And this is Shuttleboy, guys. And I'm out, guys. Peace. In the description box below this video and in the comments section, I will link a Google Doc with a list of simple things you can do to help further the Black Lives Matter movement. There's petitions you can sign, text messages you can send, and even a place to donate to on the document. The most important thing is that you check your privilege, you listen to what the Black community is saying to you, hear their stories and experiences, amplify their voices, vote, protest, call out your ignorant and or racist family members and friends, and be open to learning and being criticized.